Breaking news story this afternoon, Advocate Malesela Teffo being granted a bail a short time ago of 10,000 rand in the Hillbrow Magistrates Court. He was arrested yesterday after Judge Chifiwa Maumela adjourned proceedings in the Senzo murder trial. Well, human rights activist Mary Haas believes that Teffo has made himself deeply unpopular with the South African Police Services management through his legal defence of members victimised by management. We can speak to her now. Mary, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for being on Daytime Update. You have written about Advocate Malesela Teffo in the past, and in fact, it goes back a few months before this incident that we saw happen yesterday. What drew you to his story?
Okay, because it was, I was advised about it by someone who works also in the human rights field, and it seemed extraordinary. And it was extraordinary because last November, 3 police came to his home. 2 of them, he says, were security police. They were white police who'd been re-enlisted in August, and they marched him off to prison for 10 days without taking him to court. Then when he tried to find out who they were, they had already left the police. And apparently, when I made inquiries, the commissioner at the time didn't even know about it. In fact, Teffo said his signature on the appointment card was forged because, of course, Teffo sees his signature quite often doing all this labour work. And then it went in, and then in December, I think they arrested him again. Now, I think this is the charge. It's a charge of trespass. And I don't know how you can trespass in a public building, because apparently he's charged with trespassing in a police building. Now, I mean, this is absolute nonsensical. You know, in a community I've worked with for years up the North Coast, Mangete, where there are private farming communities, there is a court order on that land forbidding people to settle on it. I can't even get the prosecutor or the police to charge a policeman who settles on a land illegally under a court interdict. Do you see? I mean, they're just doing as they like. They act completely above the law. And according to Teffo yesterday, even the warrant was fraudulent.
Well, he's now appeared today in court, and the magistrate said he did indeed fail to appear before the court more than once. But I want to go back to the allegation that he made yesterday that he believes that Police Minister Bheki is somehow trying to get him off the Senzo murder trial where he's representing, I think, 4 of the 5 accused. Do you believe that that is legit, that police management in this country may very well be after him?
There may be. He's deeply unpopular with many police in management positions because he successfully defends people who have been victimised. That's another whole subject. The police are victimising, illegally discharging people from the service, and they're competent, they're experienced. He defends them because it's basically our policing system has become a nepotistic network of cronies, so they employ their efforts. Okay. Now, and please remember that it's clearly who runs the police, completely irregularly. That's why Sitole had to go. You see, the present National Commissioner worked with Clearly as a deputy, and also he worked with Clearly when Clearly was an MEC in KZN, and there were all sorts of illegal things going on and nothing was done. Training, guns. Okay, so he and Clearly are close. So it's not difficult. I mean, Clearly interferes all the time. It's completely irregular to do this. I mean, basically, the police get away with acting above the law all the time, and they just keep doing it. We are seriously on the road to a complete police state. And, of course, Clearly's advisors are apartheid-era policemen. So, I think it's very scary what's happening.
Okay, so the police minister, he was on Newzroom Afrika just last night. He has denied being behind this arrest. In fact, he says he was busy with other business in Soweto while all of this was unfolding and learned of the events through his spokesperson. That then, take that with a comment from the Gauteng Police Commissioner, Elias Mawela, who says he himself is waiting for a detailed report on why things unfolded in the way that they did during the arrest in Pretoria, and he will then give that information, feed it back to the National Commissioner. Do you believe that we'll ever know if there was indeed anything beyond just officers enforcing an outstanding warrant, which we're now learning was indeed legit?
Look, I don't think we'll get to the bottom of it. I mean, we have very serious policing problems. This is just one manifestation of them. Abuse of power all the time. And, I mean, clearly may not have ordered it himself, but he moves around with so many people in the police, they may have decided. But you must also remember that this case is a very controversial case, and there's two interested parties who are diametrically opposed to what's happening. I mean, in the one party, you have, for example, relatives of the accused men, or four of the accused men, and you have the brother of Senzo Meyiwa, who told stories that suggest that these people are being maliciously prosecuted. But we don't know that. That's why it's important for everything to come out in court. I mean, I think by now people understand there are actually, have you ever heard of this before, 2 court cases for 1 murder? And that in the first investigation, the police had made breakthroughs. They were ready to arrest people. And then there was the DPP did not issue the permission to whatever they call it to prosecute. And then suddenly out of the blue another case is open, and that's the one in court now. So it is there are vested interests in both sides, you might say, in this case. And unfortunately, I mean, according to Teffo, that the Minister of Police is the one who's pushing this case and said, look, you know, when I'm Minister, I will make sure this case is solved and it's a matter for him. But do remember, this goes back to before the time that Teffo took this case, when the persecution started last year after he had been virtually threatened by Clearly, who had publicly said, you know, this man's a nuisance, you know, we don't want him around, sort of thing. And I mean, who knows? So, who knows?
A final question then, Mary, because we're out of time almost. Can both things be true, right? Can he be the alleged victim of targeting by police management? And can he also then, it be admitted that he too was wrong by ignoring or failing to appear, shall we say, in court on more than one occasion? Even though, yes, as you say, he's been a crusader for the rights of workers in the SAPS.
Look, I think it's definitely, I mean, there's definitely a conspiracy behind this in the police. And even these court appearances, how can you trespass on a police building which is public property? And then there's another matter in which he had applied for rescission. You know, so that puts anything on hold. So it's like they're grasping at straws. They've done this. I have seen police management do this since the 90s. Construct false charges against people just to get them even off cases. I mean, I'll tell you one example because it also involved Clearly, who was part of the ANC management, ANC leadership in the province. In Richmond, in the late 90s, competent detectives made breakthroughs. They had to be removed because their breakthroughs were going to lead to the ANC leadership in this province. And then the same thing, they had completely fabricated charges against them. So it's possible. That's what I'm saying. At this stage, it's a high degree of probability that the whole thing, I mean, since when do you detain somebody for a trespass charge in the first place? As I said, I can't even get it when people are in contempt of court and in breach of a court order. So, I mean, definitely. And the police do this. This is just another example of how the police abuse all the time, especially with Clearly as minister. They do as they like, basically, and get it away with it. So I believe truly that this is, I mean, it may well be to stuff up or to mess up the case, you know, but at the same time, I mean, you're drawing the attention of the whole world to this. It's kind of, you know, why do they do such stupid things, going and doing this in public view? Since when do you detain someone for a trespass charge? I mean, there is just absolutely. When he appeared in court in December on his trespass charge, the docket wasn't in court. And when the docket, so they hadn't even constructed a docket at that stage. So when finally the docket appeared, I mean, even the magistrate was scratching his head because he didn't understand what these charges were. So everything adds up. We actually need a proper inquiry into police. Something must be done about this political interference. Constant.
Mary de Haas, good to have your time. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, ma'am.